What is up guys, welcome back to another deck profile. Today we're going to be featuring for the very first time ever a pure Guardragon deck. And yes, this is the most pure version of a Guardragon deck you can get. I've tried to look up Guardragons to actually see how this deck was even built just by searching up deck profiles or over YouTube. Not a single deck profile was actually available within the past 1.5 years, I guess. I think the most recent one was maybe about 2 years ago when the deck was just introduced and when they were just testing it out on yugioh Pro. And after that, there were no pure deck profiles for Guardragons at all. I don't know why, it's just that this deck seems to not be popular. Most people obviously want to play the Lynx, Guardragon LP, Pisty and Argipane, and also their spell card World Legacy Guardragon. But with that being said, this is just the pure deck where I actually utilize every single card in the deck. Obviously now that Argipane is banned, it's kind of unfortunate that this deck lost quite a big asset, but this is the original deck that's meant to actually bring out the Lynx full potential. So here's my take on it. So without further ado, let's get started. It's quite funny really because we also just did the World Legacy card lore as well, so this makes it quite appropriate to actually do some kind of deck like this because it kind of links up to the whole story itself. But with that being said, for monsters, we're going to be playing one copy here of World Legacy Guardragon Mardark. I feel like this card is just not the best card in the deck at all. It's probably the worst card you could play, but that being said, I wanted to kind of honor this deck by playing at least one copy of every single card available to it. So playing the one copy here of Mardark is nice. It's not necessarily the boss monster, we're actually utilizing link monsters a lot more, but as a last resort attacker, it's okay. There's also an alternative way to bring it out via one of our link monsters, so when we get to it, I'll explain it. Next, we're playing two copies here of Guardragon Promeneses. It's basically a hand trap where you could boost one of your dragons by 500 attack and defense if you discard it or send it from the field to the graveyard. However, its secondary effect is what we really want, and that is if a normal monster is sent to your graveyard while this card is in the graveyard, except during damage step of course, but it gets banished when it leaves the field. So this is a hard once per turn, but either way, it's still a decent card to be played, but we're only playing two copies of it because I think that a lot of the cards we're going through later on are definitely going to be better. The main card of our deck, we definitely have to play three copies here of Guardragon Justiciar. Justiciar is just an absolute key card in the deck itself. We'll actually get to it when we do our test stand video, but it's essentially a level 2 Dragon Tuner normal monster, and the fact that it's also a normal monster is quite crucial in the deck, being that it will set off a lot of your starter plays and also just combo off, and obviously being the tuner gives you the option to go into synchro plays as well. Next, I'm also playing three copies here of Guardragon Maids. Maids is definitely a really nice card as well because if a normal monster is sent to your graveyard except during damage step, then you get to special summon this from your hand. Now, if this card is in the graveyard, however, you can send a dragon monster from your hand to the graveyard and add this card to your hand, and obviously each effect is a hard once per turn. So there's a particular ruling that I actually searched up, and basically let's say it was in the graveyard and you were to discard a dragon monster to add this card to your hand. If you happen to be discarding a normal monster, not only would it go to your hand, but from triggering off the first effect, it would also special summon itself back out as well. So it's definitely a really good deal to actually work your way around this particular card here, which is why I'm playing three of them. Then of course we're also playing two copies here of Guardragon Andrake. Only two copies. I don't think this is the best card, but at the same time I think if anything it could still be the boss monster of your deck over Mardark. So it can't be normal summoned or set, which is kind of the biggest problem here, but you can obviously summon it out through card effects, which means given that we have, well, I'll get to those cards later, but one of them you already know, that's World Legacy Guardragon, which is obviously going to special summon it from the hand, or graveyard of course, but if this card is actually special summoned from the hand or deck, then you could double its original attack and defense, which means it's going to be a 4k beat stick. You attack your opponent for game, it's definitely a really good card here. Second effect, if it's special summoned from the graveyard, or if it's special summoned from the banish zone, then you could target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So secondary effect is not the best. You obviously want to bring it out from the hand or deck, and in this case we could only really bring it out from the hand. Of course, there is one of the link monsters, I think Pisty or LP, which allows us to actually bring it out from the deck itself, so it should be okay there. We're also playing one copy here of the Black Dragon and White Dragon. These guys, well, you obviously didn't see any targets for it, but we're going to get to it later. But I thought that having these guys definitely really helped out. It was just a really nice engine that I believe most Dragon decks can utilize if it's a possibility. With that being said, here's the World Legacy cards. We're playing one copy here of World Arc. I think it's a really nice card because if a link monster you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to your grave, you could just special summon this card from your hand. You could send this card from your hand to the graveyard and then bring back one of those link monsters that was destroyed. So this could easily just include one of your link 4s, and the fact that you could easily revive it back is definitely really nice. So yeah, I definitely really like this card. But one copy is really all you need, because I'm playing two copies here of World Armor. World Armor has become a new favorite of mine, because basically what it does is whatever monster you set down, you essentially get to just special summon this from your hand. And I think being so easy to summon out, it's worth playing at least two copies. It's so generic, which is what I love about it. It's probably my second favorite World Legacy card, right behind World Chalice. And you guys already know that in the past I used to play World Chalice a lot, so with that being said, World Chalice is my favorite World Legacy, followed by Armor and maybe World Arc. But yeah, these are the only World Legacies I'm actually playing in the deck itself, so let's move on to a few more other interesting cards. But with that being said, they are also dark monsters, which kind of work well with the White Dragon Wyver Buster. Now of course, what about Black Dragon Collar Serpent? How do you actually work off that? Well, here's our light targets. We're playing two copies here of Nibiru. I just really love this card now. It's become one of the greatest disruptors in the game itself, and yeah, it still catches my opponents off guard these days, and it's always a great joy to see it go off. But we're also playing three copies here of Cyframe Gear Gamma. Sometimes we might not have any monsters on the field. Keep in mind, we're going all out on our link plays, and sometimes your opponent's just going to stop them. And of course, what this means is we're going to be playing Cyframe Driver. Now, one of the other reasons why I'm also playing Cyframe Gear Gamma Engine is because Driver is a normal monster, and this deck can actually utilize normal monsters quite decently. With that being said, of course, the pretty much Promeneses, most of the Guardragons will trigger off when a normal monster is sent to your graveyard. So Cyframe Driver is definitely one of the cards that kind of synergizes with the deck by mere coincidence. Being that this is a dragon deck, I thought I'd play the Tempest and the Lightning as well, just because they're so easy to bring out, and these days I've been incorporating these two cards in most of my dragon decks that I've actually been playing. So yeah, it's definitely quite a rewarding card, and mostly I actually utilize Lightning's effect to bring out Tempest, but you know, in desperate times I can actually just bring out Tempest on its own effect as well. So definitely a really nice engine. Alright, so moving on to spells. Sadly, a lot of the spells aren't too amazing for Guardragon support, so we're playing over here one Guardragon Shield. It's your field spell. You could target one dragon monster you control, gains attack and defense equal to the total link rating of all link monsters currently on the field times 100. Not the best until your opponent's turn. The end of your opponent's turn. You can only use this effect of Guardragon once per turn, which is not amazing anyway. But the second effect is once per turn, if exactly one dragon monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send one normal monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard instead. So great way to kind of protect your Guardragon monsters, which is very nice, and always a nice card to also ditch your normal monsters to the graveyard as well. So I'm really liking it for that particular effect, but there are other cards that kind of utilize this to the better maximum here, whereas this one is kind of a bit iffy on my side still. So because of that, I'm kind of sticking to just playing one for now. Next, we're playing one Guardragon Reincarnation. Keep in mind we do have one boss monster in the extra deck, and yeah, we use this card to fusion summon one fusion monster from our extra deck by banishing the fusion materials listed on it. And yeah, it's quite nice because obviously they have to be all link monsters, and they could either be from the field or graveyard. So this card could be your final finishing OTK, given it's also a quick play. Now, you could already tell that this deck kind of cycles through the monsters quite quickly, so I'm playing one copy here of Pot of Avarice as well, kind of allowing us to recycle. We're also playing Terraforming to get to our field spell quicker, and we're playing the Mind Control because I believe it is one of the most crucial cards out there. Now, for the revival cards, we're playing the Monster Reborn, we're playing World Legacy Succession, and we're also playing two copies here of World Legacy Guardragon. So obviously these cards allow us to revive, and it just synergizes so well with the deck as well, particularly World Legacy Guardragon, since it's the specific spell card support for this particular deck. It just happened to be very generic that a lot of people ended up playing in their Rocket decks or Dragon Link decks. But yeah, in this particular deck it works just as well. For further dragon support cards, we're also playing two copies of Dragon Shrine just to get some more monsters into your graveyard, and we're playing two copies of Dragon Ravine. I mean, getting rid of cards from your hand, and also just ditching some of your dragon monsters from your deck to the graveyard as well, because this is a fast deck that utilizes the graveyard quite a bit. Finally, to end things off for spells, we're playing three copies here of Unexpected Die. We're playing four different normal monsters in the deck, so naturally playing Unexpected Die is just really amazing. But that being said, it is requiring level 4, so you can't bring out your Cyframe Driver. You can only bring out your Guardragon Justiciar, unfortunately, but that's okay because it still accelerates your plays. Alright, so for traps, we're playing two copies here of Guardragon Core Awakening. You could basically send an effect monster from your hand to the graveyard and special summon a level 4 lower dragon normal monster from your hand, deck or graveyard in defense. Definitely really nice, kind of again utilizes it to a different degree here and allows you to play around with things. But it's also a continuous trap card, which makes it kind of nice that it will stick to the field quite a bit. And finally, we're playing two copies here of Guardragon Cataclysm. You could basically tribute a dragon monster and destroy any two cards on the field. Really nice here. It's kind of like Twin Twisters, but at the same time you could target any two cards you want, which I definitely kind of like in that particular sense. And it also helps clear your own board so that it could make your Cyframe Gear Gamma active. On to the extra deck, it's pretty self-explanatory. We're playing a bunch of boss monsters, enough for utilities here, so Magnite Crusader Avramax. However, I'm playing the Lib, the World Key Blade Master. So let me quickly explain this card. It's a Link 2 that's generic, and it can only be Link summoned while you have a World Legacy card in your graveyard, which is okay because majority of our deck is World Legacy support anyway, like the World Legacy Succession and Guardragon. And yeah, it's just really easy to bring out, and you can only use each of the following effects of Lib, the World Key Blade Master, once per turn. So during your main phase, you could set one World Legacy spell trap directly from your deck, but it cannot be activated this turn, while you have no World Legacy monsters in your graveyard. I mean, it's not bad anyway, because you basically get to, I guess, deck thin with that first effect. Second effect, if this Link Summon card is sent to your graveyard as Link material, you can shuffle one card on the field into the deck, and that's not targeting as well, so it's definitely a really nice card to help you just go for Link climbing. Of course, for a few other boss monsters, we're playing Sayuja. It is definitely possible to go into Sayuja. Borrowload, a bit more rare because I prefer to go for the Avramax when I Link climb from Blade Master up into Avramax, but you know, sometimes when I need to, Borreload Dragon still does the job. We're also playing here a triple burst dragon, just a nice link 3 that kind of fills the void for the deck. Obviously we're playing Nightmare Cerberus and Phoenix for a bit of utility, and here's an interesting card I'm playing Twin Triangle Dragon, so it requires 2 level 4 lower dragon type monsters except for tokens. When it's link summoned, you could pay 500 life points and target 1 level 5 or higher monster in your graveyard, special summon it to a zone this card points to, but it cannot attack this turn. Also it has its effects negated. So this is the other alternative way to bring out Mardark, and by bringing it out you could kind of link climb with this card and go for your triple burst dragons, so definitely quite nice. Or you could go for any other kind of alternative plays you want here. Of course, this isn't a Guardragon deck if we're not playing one copy of Pisty and LP. They are both very crucial cards. I'm only playing one copy of them. I'm thinking about actually bumping them up to 2 each. I obviously don't want to waste the potential of a lot of these cards as well, but if I could to play a second copy of LP or Pisty, I'd probably take out the yugioh, and I might even take out the Borreload Dragon as well, just because my main boss monster here is usually the Avramax, and we also got a few other boss monsters as well that we'll get to, but for the time being, these two have definitely been the key components of the deck itself, and they definitely are really amazing. Finally, we have Synchro monsters, so we're going to be playing here one copy of Trishula, one copy of Borreload Savage, one copy of Scarlight, a copy of FA Dawn Dragstar, and for the fusion we're playing the Almaduke, which you guys already kind of expected. Requires 3 different link monsters, so quite easy to go into if you manage to get 3 link monsters into your grave and use your fusion spell card to go into it. But with that being said, a 7, 8 and 9 very easy to go into because your Justiciar is a level 2, whereas your Prometheus is a level 1, your let's see here, your Andrake is a level 4 and your Garmedes is a level 3. So with the different combinations you could actually go for, these are the ones that are very much so possible. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this particular deck profile. It was a bit more on the fun side compared to a lot of different decks that I've been, I guess, going around with these days, because this is just one of those decks that no one plays at all. So I definitely think it's quite underrated, and it's worth trying out. It's usually just outshined by Rokkets or just another variant of Dragon Links, and I kind of feel bad for it because this deck can still do quite a bit on its own. However, if you enjoyed this video, definitely leave a thumbs up and also share it, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. But until the next video, I hope you guys have a great day.